From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew. From Blind Android Users Podcast, this is episode 212. We're recording today, Saturday, December 28, 2024, and we are being joined by our friends for our big end of year celebration. We're observing the end of year 2024. We talk about things here, be they phones, be the year 2024 in general, apps, and all of that good stuff. We've got a lot of great people on here that I would like for them to actually introduce themselves. So I'll read names and then they'll introduce themselves, let you know where they're coming from. And I'm so delighted to be joined by these guys. I have here Nimmer, my man. Let those guys know, whether you have a squeeze now or not. Something I've been bothering you about for the longest time out. So it's time to get that squeeze. Nimmer?
Hello, Warren. Hello, everyone. Good to be on. As for a squeeze, I think my squeeze, as everyone knows, is probably Coca-Cola. Maybe some other beverage, stronger beverage later in the evening, followed by whatever tech toys I might be playing with on a given day. So no squeeze, and I don't even have the AI girlfriend yet, but who knows? We'll see if that happens next.
Oh, well, good. Well, it's time to get a little squeeze because, it's that this time of year, it's a little bit chilly, isn't it? It's a little chilly outside. I know that for a fact. It's chilly everywhere. So
yes,
Salvis,
but of course, not having one also means big savings and the amount of money I spend this time of year too. So,
yeah, I know the pocketbook remains intact. So pick your poison, right? Ladies, don't be offended. I love you guys, like my whatever, but it's sometimes, it's just is. Salvis, what's up, my man?
Hi, Warren. Hi, everyone. Greetings from snowy, cold Latvia.
Good. You've had dinner, right?
Yeah, I had dinner. Oh, potatoes with milk.
I love it. And so any squeezes at your end, Salvis, or you're still a little bit on the fence too? Any little girl, sweet thing, to hold close.
Well, still I don't have any AI girlfriend yet, but yeah, well,
Okay. Well,
yeah, who knows? Maybe in future, maybe next year.
it means I need to go to work. You boys, I got a lot of work to do, so I need to do some work. Potato Boy, what's up with you, my friend?
So yeah, I used to have an AI girlfriend, but she broke up with me. So yeah, that's a sad story. I also have a peach nectar here and my LG wing, and I need to buy the second one to fly away from here.
Yeah, 2 wings makes it possible to fly. You can't fly on a single wing, and if your AI
You can
left,
fly, you'll just go in circles.
yeah, exactly. Or maybe one part would be dipping down the ground or whatever. But that AI girl, could it be that maybe you changed her voice? I know you like TTS engines. You probably were trying to give her a different voice, and she got kind of a little bit PO'd. Is that what happened?
No, we had a fight.
I see. Sally, my man, so you're the one I've always been wanting to get a little squeeze for, but I don't know. It's like something happens.
I really don't know what happens, but here I am still better than yesterday and will be even better tomorrow. And it's talking to from Samson, Turkey, and very cold, by the way.
It's a beautiful thing.
Well, they have a lot of Turkish delights over there in Turkey, so it can't be that hard.
Well, yeah, maybe.
we move on to the red-headed stranger, and of course, I'm talking about Miriam, who betrayed me and jumped on an iPhone. Miriam, girl.
Hey Warren, hey everyone. This is Miriam. It's very cold here in Egypt right now. I think it's about like, I don't know, 7 Celsius or something. I know compared to other
Wow, I
areas
think for
and
Egypt,
stuff.
that's very cold.
Yeah, it is. And they're saying it's gonna get even colder. So
Wow. It's unusual for Egypt.
yeah, it is. So we're waiting, but I love winter, so I'm not really bothered by that.
Well, that means you're not going to be doing some barbecue outside, right? Is that what that means?
No, not like, at least not this year.
Yeah,
Even though
when
the barbecue might help you warm up. But,
that's true. When I was there, though, it was like I think it was like 48 degrees or something like that, about 50 degrees,
Oh,
something
were
like that.
you
So,
here like in June, July or something?
no, that was in December.
Really? Are you serious?
he's saying
Yeah,
48, 50, but that's like US.
Oh, it's in
yeah,
Fahrenheit.
yeah,
Fahrenheit.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see. Okay, sorry. I
yeah.
thought it was
So it was cold.
Oh, that would be
You know,
very cold, yeah.
especially when we were by the pyramids. Early in the morning, it was about 48, 50 degrees.
Yeah, that
So
would be crazy. Because
yeah,
right now I live in what's known as New Cairo, and it's very cold. It's freezing, like in the early morning and night. So I get it.
John Boy, what's going on? I don't think it's barbecue weather. It's probably 40 degrees, 45. I don't know. What is it like in Virginia, where you're at?
Probably in the 40s. I haven't I haven't checked the weather or been outside today. We're cleaning up. We're trying to make room for everything that Christmas brought with it. My son had tons and tons of presents from his grandparents and his parents and Santa, of course. And we've just been piling everything on the couches so that so the robot vacuum can run at night. And today we're like getting rid of things and making room. So yeah, time to find a place for all this stuff.
I remember those days, as they get older, then we started, streamlining all of that stuff. And so this last Christmas, and by the way, we wanted, wish people, a belated Merry Christmas and, Happy New Year as we coming toward the close of this year. And I remember those days, John, kids, oh my gosh, it was so many things. But earlier on, they were more interested in the wrapping paper, than anything else. But as they got older, then the toys, my goodness, unbelievable. I still see some of those
robot. Which robot do you have there, John? I just got one.
Xiaomi Roborock.
Yeah, that's the one. I got one.
That's the one you got. So
Nice.
I got 3 of them. I got the Xiaomi, the Roborock. I got the iRoomba, and I have the one from what is it, Eufy or Ufy? I don't know.
Yeah, see, up to this point, I've not been willing to get one because the ones I've seen them at people's houses, and I'm like, well, I can do a lot better than this thing can do, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
like stuck on cords or this or that. But at this point, like, I think they're finally starting to get good enough. But I don't know.
Yeah,
there's some issues.
you still have to deep clean yourself every once in a while, but
Yeah.
it's better
Yeah.
than nothing. It just runs every night when I go upstairs, and
That's it. Yeah, I've got set up a schedule, and I'm like, I'm still trying to get adjusted to the fact that I've got this thing rampaging. I live in this townhome, 2 floors right now. I've got it sitting downstairs, and so I'm upstairs, and then this thing starts rampaging around the house, and I'm like, what is happening? And I have to remember I said the schedule.
Yeah. I kind of like the Xiaomi one, though. I think it's probably my favorite one. It respects the boundaries, things like that.
yeah. It's obviously it's not. The app is accessible enough, but setting up like zones and stuff is not accessible. You have to have somebody. You have to have somebody do it for you. But once you do, it's awesome because you can just tell. Like even if you just want to vacuum a specific room, you can say, "Okay, G, go vacuum the kitchen." It'll go directly to the kitchen, vacuum it, and come back to the dock. So it is really nice. And yeah, like, you don't really realize how much it's getting until you go to empty it. Like I'll empty it after like 3 or 4 days, and the thing is full already. I guess the ground was pretty dirty.
Yeah,
Well,
it does
so I
get
guess
dirty.
that's okay. We all have now these Chinese cameras roaming around our houses, so that's good. Very good.
And that's another concern, but I'm like, you're sitting on my damn Wi-Fi, so
Yeah, and mine docks in the bathroom, so it gets a great view.
Excellent. I'm sure Xi Jinping loves that.
Mhm.
Very good.
Oh, well, so mine docks by the door, my back door. And even if it docks in the bathroom, no one is in the bathroom downstairs. So but I don't know. That's interesting. Guests come in and, people go to the bathroom downstairs. But no, ours, we got 2 downstairs, but they both, the Xiaomi one docks by the door, and then the Eufy docks by somewhere in the media room, and then the third one is upstairs. The iRoomba is upstairs.
Oh, speaking of, I recently watched a YouTube video where a guy made a Roomba, like he programmed it in a way, because like these things are running Linux, so you can technically just break into it and do whatever you want with it. And it's really fun because that guy made it swear. So like if it bumped into like a wall or something, it started screaming and swearing, and it was so fun.
I remember that he took it to Walmart and showing people, and people actually
Yeah,
liked
exactly
it.
that. Yeah,
I think that
exactly
is
that
really
video.
cool. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I would like something like that. And I've
Me
always said, I
too.
wish Google could do something, especially with maps. So if you keep turning the wrong way, it said, dumbhead, I told you, keep going straight. I would love
I
something
mean,
like that.
technically you can do that. You just use the Google Maps API and write your own thing.
I would love something like that. Damn it, I told you to go straight. Next, we have Kirin, the pretty girl in Lebanon. I've been trying to, hook her up, and every time I get, a pushback. What's up, my dear?
Hello, I'm doing well. Everything is going well here. We are having rain, and with rain comes connection problem. So always when it's raining, we should expect some problems with the connection. So yeah, but it's manageable currently, and I love rain so much, so I'm okay with the
You
side
probably
effects.
did not hear us, but we were talking about getting Musk to put some balloons or satellites above your house.
On your house, yes,
Yeah.
yes. What do you think
Well,
about that?
Well, actually, they asked him to help us during the war, but he didn't help us. So we don't want him to help us right now because let him go to. I can't talk about this during the podcast.
I mean, I could have an enemy, but if he's gonna give me connectivity, I'll take it. I mean, I got
No,
a
seriously,
Xiaomi.
they were trying to ask him to collaborate during the times when we were having troubles and stuff. But and they were trying to have a deal, but nothing. So yeah, we don't want it right now.
So let's go to Sarkat. Sarkat from India.
Sorry, it is not Sarkat. It's Venkat, Venkat.
There you go. So where are you coming from? Are you from Mumbai? Are you from
No,
Delhi?
sir, I am from Hyderabad.
Okay. How is it out there, my man? Is it, are you guys?
Yeah, here it is
turning
around
colder.
17, 18 degrees right now. And it's fine. Weather is nice here.
That's good. So we're talking, it's probably about 60 degrees. That's not bad.
No,
That's
not
not bad.
60, sir, 16.
Yeah, but so Fahrenheit, it would be about maybe like
No,
60 degrees.
Celsius, sir, Celsius.
Yeah. Okay. Celsius, right? Yeah.
Yes.
But in Fahrenheit, that would be about maybe like 60 degrees or 62, somewhere.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's in the
It's
60s,
true.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to thank through you people Google about their describe image feature. That is the best feature that I love for the year 2024.
So for you, for the apps, the description is one thing that sits at the top for you, right? This
Yes, sir.
and are we talking talkback here? We talking Lookout, or we talking Gemini?
Describe image of talkback, sir.
Okay, yeah, I think that probably sits on the top of my list as well when we're talking about apps. But another one though that I really like in 2024, and you guys know where I'm going. It has been my favorite now. That 11 Labs reader, I think is probably one of my best apps of 2024. What do you guys think about that? I really like that thing. I've been using it a lot.
The problem with playing with tech all day is that I don't have a lot of interest after hours to play with new apps. And so I have to say I have not tried it out, although I've seen the messages about it. So I look forward to playing with it at some point. Like really when I'm not at work, I spend a lot of my time outside or hiking. So but yeah, I look forward to playing around with that. I think what's got my interest now is a lot of these apps that are allowing for more live mode. And so you're doing like the screen sharing, like with GPT and even the Gemini Studio.
I love that.
But I think like these things are going to be fairly powerful, and they're just in the beginning stages right now in what they're able to do. But as soon as they start giving more live descriptions and doing some other things, I think like those are going to be very powerful.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I mean, ChatGPT in live mode could kind of hallucinate a little bit, but I think we are in a totally different place. I think I would actually prefer Google AI Studio over ChatGPT when it comes to video calling. But wow, they're so nice. I mean, they always help me like in kind of matching colors. Sometimes applying makeup. It's just so nice.
Yeah, I was playing with the.
I mean,
Go ahead.
imagine it's just the Flash model. There's gonna be the Pro model. It's gonna be even more powerful. And like, if the Flash model can do so much, just imagine how much Pro or Ultra will be able to do.
Yeah, I was playing with the Flash model of 2.0, and I was pretty impressed. I was just like walking around with, using the camera and having it describe things to me. And I was like, what room am I in? And it would say, it looks like you're in a living room. And then I'd say, what about now? You're in the dining room. What about now? You're in the kitchen. And then I said, describe buttons on the microwave. And it kind of gave me a general description. And then I was like, no, I'm blind. Describe the buttons on the microwave.
I love it, John. I love
it. And then it was very
Yeah,
specific. So there's a display. There's a split display at the top, but then there's a row of 4 round buttons from left to right. It's this. It described the whole layout. And then I said, is it light outside or dark outside? And it said, although there's no window in your current view, you walked by a window earlier and it seemed to be daytime.
Yeah,
And-
it remembers. It's
Yeah,
so
and-
good.
It's so
It memorizes
nice.
things. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
very nice. I mean,
Imagine
ask
that
him.
mode that you're in
Yeah.
when you're constantly prompting it, but imagine when it gets to just giving you its automatic descriptions. And I think that
Yeah.
is sort of where we're kind of headed, and in some ways what the live sharing the screen
Yeah.
ChatGPT mode.
It feels like it's going to get really great. Like it's not.
That is kind of where we're
perfect
headed.
because-
Yeah, it isn't perfect. One of the issues that I've seen is, and it makes sense why it is this way, but a lot of times when you ask it for specific information, it is transposing it because it is giving you the layout based on the camera's
Mhm.
perspective. And so therefore like left and right get transposed. So there's some issues with that. Of course, hallucinations. Sometimes it won't pick up things the first time, and then when you ask it the second time, it'll say, "Oh yes, you're right, it is here."
Yeah. Yeah,
And then
it
if you
doesn't
ask
seem
it
to
again,
be.
then it'll say, "Oh yes, you're right, it is here."
The
even though it's
problem with
not.
that is that you can't trust it. So basically, I was asking
Right.
ChatGPT to read something on the screen, and then when I said, "Okay, but I'm sure that it's there," it's like, "Oh yes, it's there." So I had to make sure using something else that it's actually correct and it's not hallucinating.
Yeah, I asked it to keep an eye out for something. That I'm talking about the Google Gemini. I said, "Have you seen a kid's juice cup?" And it said, "No, I haven't seen it." And I said, "Can you keep an eye out for it?" It said, "Yeah, I'll let you know when I see it." And then I was walking around, and every once in a while, it would say, "Still haven't seen it." And then, but when I got it in view, it didn't say anything. It just wouldn't tell me. So it was acting like it was going to, but it didn't for some reason. I had to hold it like right up in front of the camera, and there was nothing
Yeah.
but the cup in front of it, and it still wasn't saying anything. I said,
It's
"What
not
about
doing
Yeah,
now?"
that right now,
that's what
but I think
happens
that
with me.
is very much like I can't speak about what is coming in, but
Yeah.
that is kind of where we are headed. So
Yeah, I feel yeah, exactly. Like I said, it knows what it's going to be capable of. Let's just put it that way, because it pretends like it's going to do something, and it
Yeah, I
doesn't
think we're
work great.
expecting something from Be My Eyes when they implement that into their app. I think that's where, because the API usually is prompted differently, and that's what makes it even more powerful. So, for instance, if you give a picture to ChatGPT, its description is going to sound different and less detailed than if you give it to Be My Eyes. So that's what we're expecting, I think.
it's all about the prompting and the models.
Exactly.
And so
Yeah, it has the
Be
custom
My Eyes
prompt
is using
attached.
GPT. Yeah, it's custom prompting.
It is, but it's custom prompted because of the API.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned both the Chat GPT. I always have difficulty saying that thing, GPT, and, Gemini. So I was reading this article yesterday. I was being lazy. And this guy was, pointing why, Gemini, has a leg over, Chat GPT now. And I can see why he was saying that. But frankly, I like what you are doing, John. Say, hey, keep an eye out for something. And so this is a very good feature. We were at the store, my wife and I, we went to Home Depot, and I'm like, I think we need to get a new stove or something, because I don't like the drawer under the one that we have right now. And so we're looking at, those induction stoves, and, they're all touch screen and all of that. And I'm like, you know what? This is where it's going to be perfect for me to use my Gemini to be able to read these things and all of that. So, John, you are describing that microwave and all of that. I mean, of course, I'm going to probably wind up labeling it with some Dymo labeling tape and all of that. But I can see the use of Gemini or Chat GPT in trying to identify those buttons. So I'm really excited about where we're going when it comes to these things.
Just make sure that when you're using when you get the Dymo tape, before you get the stove, that it is that you can make sure that you can actually touch the tape without activating the screen. Some appliances now, basically, as soon as you touch it, it is activating buttons. And so you
Yeah,
don't
so
have the
I
ability
think
to
what
actually, feel around for the correct buttons, something like that. So
yeah,
uh,
I think what we're gonna do is, before we plug it in, we're gonna put on the labels. So
yes, but if you have an opportunity to check it out in the store, just make sure that there is some level of force that's needed to activate the buttons, because otherwise, if
Yeah,
you're
'cause
just
if
putting
it's
tape
Yeah, you
on, as
wouldn't
soon
be
as you
able to
touch it,
read the
it'll
label.
activate it.
Yeah, that's how my dryer and washer are, and I have to like put the labels, or I just use bump outs, but I have to put them like off the screen,
Off
and then
the
I have to
screen.
find the dot and then move down. Yeah.
Right.
yeah, that makes
Just
sense.
you have to figure that out. But I've been playing too with the offline models. I have a beast of a laptop, and so I've been doing a lot of things with the offline models and just custom prompting it. And I was using it for doing like tax stuff and just getting those documents in an accessible format, and like it's a really powerful stuff. So I think
Oh, I enjoy voice cloning stuff.
yeah.
And talking about 11 Labs Reader, my favorite app of 2024. They've implemented the podcast feature, just like what we have in Google. And so I gave it a book to do a podcast on, and it was actually very interesting. So there's an American girl and a British guy. It was such a great thing listening to that stuff, and like, wow.
When I listen to the blind Android users, when I go and check out the episodes on YouTube, those are done by 11Y Labs. Is that what you're saying? You guys didn't actually do the episodes?
Yeah,
They did not. Yeah.
exactly.
They're cloned.
Exactly. So, but no,
I wish that would be a lot easier.
yeah, so that would be nice though, but it's really interesting see where we're going, that human like, like two people discussing something. It's just my book that I just fed to it, and it's just unbelievable. It touches every part of the book, and oh my goodness, I couldn't believe how that thing was working, but it worked really well.
I've been
And
trying to run them offline because I'm like, I don't know if I really want everything passed through the cloud. And it's amazing how powerful of a machine, like this machine is a beast, and even that sometimes struggles to run some of the more powerful models. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to look for a machine next or add 128 gigs of RAM.
well, maybe this is why we're not going to be seeing some of these things coming natively on the phone. I mean, offline, but
No,
at
like
least
this thing's already running a 4090 graphics, and I think it's got 64 gigs of RAM, and it's still sometimes bottlenecks. So I'm going to have to get more RAM next or something. I don't know.
So, Nimar, here's the thing that we've been crying about, and it is still part of the apps. You know where I'm going, my TTS engine. I would love to, have some of
Eloquence is
those.
not coming. Sorry.
No, forget about eloquence. I'm not worried about eloquence. I've long forgotten about eloquence, but I'm talking about, I want those, like assistant or Gemini voices, to be customized to where if people want to download those and use them as their, some of the voices for TalkBack, oh my gosh, that would be awesome, So,
Yeah, I think so. I sent a message in response to the message about here, and I'm not here on behalf of Google or anything. I'm just here kind of just having a chat here personally. But I will say, if there is feedback about that kind of thing, and there's enough people that feel very strongly about it, no matter who the company is, the more voices, the more likely it is to be heard. And so I would say submit that feedback, submit it often, get as many people as you can to submit it. What I will say about those cloud voices, though, is that they are fairly different from TTS, or they're more meant to be natural, very much like you can't speed them up. They wouldn't do very well sped up in any kind of way, and they're generated basically in the cloud. And so I think trying to bring those to TTS to a screen reader, while I'm not saying it's not possible to do, it would not be something that is going to be easily done. In general, the various operating systems have separation between like cloud TTS and whatever. And like just because you can do something, again, like if you did allow a screen reader to use the cloud voices, if your internet dropped out, then you'd have to have a really robust mechanism to switch back to some kind of offline voice. And
yeah,
there's a lot of considerations behind it.
yeah.
But I
There
will
would
say, like I
also
said, if
be
there is
lag.
a requirement for that, or if there's a need or a want for that, please, the more people submitting feedback, the better.
Okay, Nimar, I have a question for you since you mentioned the voices. Well, I don't care about the online voices at all as voices for the TTS engine. But, well, you feel free not to answer because I know you are not representing Google today. But what about the new quality voices that some people are getting and some people are not getting, and they are only working with TalkBack? And I'm not from the people who are getting the voices. Although there's my nephew's phone, he's getting the voices. We are in the same house, and we are getting yeah. I'm not getting them. He's getting them. So what's the deal about those voices? And is it like? Is the plan to have them only for TalkBack for now, or what's the thing? Actually, they are. Google always confuses things with the implementation, with the rollout. So what's the deal? If you can talk
Google
about
always
this.
confuses things. Yes, Google always confuses things. That is very true. But I will say that the voices that you're referring to. So in general, there's a push to do two things in TalkBack. Number one, increase the responsiveness. And TTS is one way of doing it. There's a lot of other things, but TTS is one issue that causes latency. And so if you can reduce the latency, then the other problem is of quality. And if you can increase quality and reduce latency, then you're kind of getting more to a point where people like the voices, or at least are able to better tolerate the voices that you have, and they're not switching away to some other TTS engine. And so when companies roll out updates, a lot of the times, especially larger companies, they roll things out in a very staggered way. It's usually to a small percentage of users. And over time, over a number of weeks, possibly longer if issues are found, those updates roll out to a larger group. And then the other thing is, in respect of this TTS, it is at least at the moment, it is very much language dependent. And so people who are using, for example, US English right now will see the voice in a staggered layout where not everyone is getting it. And there's not really any way to force that. It's just like certain percentage of people that run a certain thing get it. And the reason that's done, by the way, is to allow for, let's say we release code and we did have testing on it and people did test it, but there's a lot of things that happen in the wild. People use it in different ways. People use it on a lot of more devices. So let's see, we start seeing more crashes. Well, it's a lot better to have maybe 1% or 10% or whatever, a small number of percentage of people with crashing devices than it is to have everybody with crashing devices. And so a lot of times these things are done in a staggered layout or a staggered way to allow for, to just make sure that when something is released to a wider audience, it is a lot more stable.
So I think though Karen was looking at the confused screen reader. So it used to be that in the past, because they used to taunt me about this, that, oh, this thing, the confused screen reader, I'm talking about the commentary screen reader, or Joshua, God rest
Yeah,
us
so there
all.
was a mode when you slowed down the talkback speech rate, it would default to the higher quality TTS voices that are the system voices. And that was disabled for talkback. And I think that was ultimately because of feedback that people didn't like the voices when they switched, and people got confused which voice, when you played the samples, which ones were playing. And I don't know, there's some issues behind it. But again, if and I know commentary does that as well. Still, it does that, and probably other tools will do that. If the speech rate is slow enough, it will use the higher quality voices, and if they're sped up, it'll revert back. But again, if there's more demand for higher quality voices or lower latency or whatever issue it is, I would say, this is the blind Android users group. It's got about, I don't know how many, last time I checked was what, 600-700 people signed up to it, something like that. Anyway, the more people that submit feedback, the better. And so if you can get people on board with that people think, oh, this thing sucks, for whatever company, and I'm not representing Google right now, but whatever it is, then I would say submit that feedback, and then get as many people to submit it as possible, because otherwise the company just figures, well, it's maybe impacting 1 or 2 users. People don't really care about it. Most people are happy with it. It's fine. We're not going to fix it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this is why, that feedback is very important. If you, the good thing though is also that there's always that feedback within the app. And I think we encourage people to, use that feedback from within that app. And I'm sure it goes somewhere.
Through the app, it does. It does several things. When you submit feedback through the app, it sends metrics for logging. And so if there are specific issues, it's a lot easier to diagnose it, but also those issues get sent directly to the teams. And so, for instance, if you ever go through any company's disability support, sometimes what you'll find is, depending on the agent, maybe they're a little bit confused, or they didn't have as much training, or maybe the feedback doesn't end up in the right place, or maybe it takes them a long time to respond. You can kind of avoid a lot of that by just submitting the feedback directly. When you submit it in the app, you can figure out it's going to the right place, it's going to the team that can look into it and action it. And there's a lot of feedback that is submitted, so you may not hear back, but I would say your feedback's definitely been received. And then the other thing is, when you do submit it, tag it. Make sure that people are aware this is an accessibility issue. So you can put in the subject, or even in the beginning of the description, oh, this is accessibility or A11Y or whatever it is, and just make sure that it's tagged so that teams are aware that this is what it is. And then, depending on like if it's a large company or not, like if I know sometimes I see Warren reaches out to developers. That's always something he's done. If it's a smaller company, especially, you always look at the contact information. You can get that from the Play Store. Especially for a small developer, reach out to them. They're not always going to make the changes, but if you give them some concrete feedback, this is what's happening. Here's a video recording. This is what I would like to see happening. Here's maybe some logs, if you can figure out how to collect logs. Whatever it is, like here's accessibility scanner, direct them to that. Maybe here's some developer guides. Maybe you want them to implement accessibility actions. Here's developer guide for implementing it. Like, the more you can help them, I find that a lot of times they will do it. They may not do it right away, but they will get to it. And some of them are really interested to help out. Sometimes they just won't, and that's just unfortunate. But that in that case, the more people that reach out to them, the better.
Well, what I have noticed during the years is that like those individuals who are working on their apps, who are not in companies, they are just so much cooperative compared to the big companies. So we are able usually to have better communication with those developers. We are able to convince them about accessibility, and sometimes they are not aware of the accessibility. And when they know what's the screen reader, what's the stuff, they are usually more likely to work on the issues and fix them. However, with bigger companies, it's usually, unfortunately, although they have more resources, they have better capabilities, they are not willing to work like as they should on accessibility, including Google itself. Well, Google...
Samsung, I'm looking at you. Samsung,
and
I'm
Google,
looking at you.
and Google. Google has the resources, and we are always seeing how teams, like, you feel like Google teams are not really collaborating with each other. Like, the accessibility team is in one place and the other teams are in other place. So there are serious issues that shouldn't be present in the apps that big companies release. I'm talking about Google, and I'm talking about ChatGPT, like OpenAI and ChatGPT, the big company, the huge resources. And now you look at the app, the Android app, they are not really doing anything. They're just, the accessibility is deteriorating. Like, okay,
it's getting worse.
So as an outsider, that is looking into a company, I can understand why you're saying that completely, 100%. I can understand why you're saying that. As somebody who works not only in a company, but also works along with other companies and have reached out to other companies, I can tell you that, yes, there are resources. Yes, they do want to hear about accessibility. They are committed to accessibility. However, they do have a much, much larger scale of things that they work on, much larger scale of people that that need to get involved in doing accessibility. For instance, there's not really, at Google, everybody's doing accessibility. There's no, there's a central accessibility team, but they're not doing what you think they're doing. They're not working on this and that, and like, for example, like Google Meet, all these various products have people within them that work on accessibility. There are teams at Google I would say for the most part, and at Microsoft and other big companies, they are very motivated to do accessibility. A lot of times the company requires that certain accessibility standards are met and followed, and that they have a certain percentage of bugs fixed, and or they have a certain number of products that meet certain guidelines, et cetera, et cetera. But as I said, they do have a lot that they're working on. And so to consider that, oh, they're going to take one person's feedback and jump on it immediately, that's not realistic. And a lot of bugs, again, as an outsider, you think, oh, these are like very easy things to fix. And maybe as a single developer, you don't have to worry about what other teams are doing and whatever else. You're right. They should be maybe easy to fix. But in a very large scale, your one fix could possibly break somebody else's fix or product or something else that they're working on. And so, yes, accessibility teams in large companies do work together, and teams in general do collaborate together, and they work with each other to make sure bugs are fixed. Certainly, I know that happens in a lot of companies, and in general, I would say there's a lot of motivation to get things done, but also there's a lot of red tape and bottlenecks at a large company. To release any amount of code takes a long time at any company. A lot of stuff I remember. This was years ago. I think before even I joined Android, I was playing around with some prototype or something. I think it was Braille keyboard. I was playing around with that. We didn't end up releasing that code for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years later. And there's a lot of reasons behind it. There's a lot of reasons why things like that happen. But essentially, to get anything out, it's a lot of quality control, a lot of reviews, a lot of testing, a lot of translation, this, that, a billion things that go into whether or not you can actually release something. A bunch of reviews, is it going to conflict with something someone else is doing? Is there an update down the road that you have to consider that might break what you're working on? And therefore, do you want to wait a little bit until that comes out before you release something? That it is not it's I applaud commentary, for example. I think it's one individual, really a couple of individuals working on it. You can do a lot as a single person working on something. Yes, there's a lot to do, but you can easily you can pretty much do whatever you'd like to do. And when you work at a large company, it doesn't work that way. And that it doesn't matter how committed they are to accessibility. And it's not just accessibility, by the way. It's a lot of other, some features. It's like you test out some features or something. And then the other thing I was going to say is, we're talking about Gemini and ChatGPT and the app, the AI app is broken. Well, it's broken because right now there's a lot of competition in the space, and there's a really this demand, this push to kind of move as fast as you can and break things because you want to get ahead. And so what that means is that some of these processes along the way get thrown out the window, and so you do end up kind of running very fast and releasing things, and those things may or may not be working properly, or may not be broken. Exactly. And it's a lot easier to break things when you're doing that, and it's not realistic that you're going to test every single line of code and every single, there's automated testing, there's manual testing, but if you're releasing things every other day, things break. And so I think that's affecting a lot of companies right now that are working on a lot of these AI tools, and whether you think that's good or not, there's either I think these companies do one of two things. They either run really, really fast and break a bunch of things, or they move so slowly to the point that you don't actually think they're doing anything, even though they're actually doing quite a lot behind the scenes. It is not like a single developer, but I understand as an outsider, I really do understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, but Nimr, here we are talking about facts, about things that are here since years. there are things that we can't give excuses about them. Like, it's okay, we can't justify that. Okay, we have priorities, but we have also the inclusivity. We have also some standards that should be respected. I'm not talking about like something which is minor. I'm talking about major things like buttons in a window, like the camera button in the ChatGPT app. Don't tell me that it will take a lot of time for them to fix this. And another thing, actions. Like,
I don't agree with you that it doesn't take a lot of time to fix that. This is a large company that we're talking about, and different product owners own different parts of a product, and sometimes they're using frameworks. And those frameworks, you need to fix something in that underlying framework that they're using. Yes, technically, yes. Programmatically, yes, labeling a button is very easy. I'm not telling you labeling a button is not easy, but I am telling you that there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes under the hood that can result in a delay in fixing that little button that you think it's just a really big deal. But also it comes down to company processes. And again, if they're moving really fast, it's a lot easier to break things. In general, if they're following their own tools, typically these tools provide warnings when buttons are not labeled. And certainly the automated testing should be catching some of that. I can't tell you why specifically Microsoft has this thing that's unlabeled, but I can tell you in general, with working at a large company, even things that seem like, oh, you should be fixing this very quickly, it can be fairly difficult to actually fix very quickly.
So is it normal for Google, for example, to develop actions and create them and then include actions for iOS, I mean actions on Android, and then implement the actions of the iOS operating system,
I'm not
and then not
representing
add them
Google
to
right now.
Android? I mean,
Karine, I'm not representing Google right now, but I will
Yeah,
tell
I mean,
you
yeah.
there's a lot of philosophy behind how actions work. But this is what I'm telling you. If you really want your feedback to be heard, submit it. But I'm not here to argue about whether or not Google should be implementing this or should be implementing that. Well, all I'm saying in general terms is, as an outsider, I can understand where your frustration is, but when you look at what these companies are doing, it becomes very clear why certain things take a lot longer than they should take, and that isn't. It may not be very clear to you, and then certainly, in a lot of cases, it's beyond a lot of people's ability to understand, and a lot of companies just don't want to put that out there, and they don't want to disclose these things. But in general, like, there's a lot of reasons why things take longer, and sometimes they shouldn't take longer. Sometimes processes did break down, but in a lot of cases, there's a lot of really good reasons why you can't just fix something very quickly.
Yeah, I do understand that, as a user, these things can be frustrating, yet in the same breath, I understand, where the companies are coming from. And if we're going to be honest with ourselves, I think we've come a long way from what it used to be. I want to give a shout out to the companies for where we are now, right now, when it comes to accessibility. A lot of things have changed over the years. And so we need to give credit where credit is due.
Accessibility in a lot of ways is getting worse. And so, if you follow me like and some very social media, my personal view is that in a lot of ways, accessibility has stagnated and or gotten worse. I mean, the fact that we were talking about appliances now, that you can't even go buy an accessible appliance today. Everything is touchscreen. There's not a single.
Exactly.
You can't. When you go buy something, it's not based on its features. It's not based on whether or not it has something you like. It's based on, can I make it work?
Yeah.
And I imagine, like, I'm thinking to myself, well, a lot of people are like, well, the tech company should fix everything. Well, okay, so they give you an app, and maybe you can control your oven with that app. But one day that app gets updated and accessibility breaks.
It's gone.
In the middle of cooking dinner.
Exactly.
Then what are you going to do? How are you turning your oven off?
Yeah, so exactly. So here's what I was trying to say. Like I've always said, no one goes to bed, in these companies thinking of us. Make no mistake, none. not one goes to bed thinking about us, or companies like that induction stuff that I was looking at. They didn't think of blind people when they were doing these things, of course, because the whole world is not blind. The majority of the world is not blind, or the majority of the world
And the
doesn't
hard
have
part
legs.
is that if you didn't think of people from the outset, if you didn't plan for them, if you did not develop it in mind with them from the very beginning, from the very
hard to
design
retro.
stages,
Yeah.
it is very difficult to go back after the fact and say, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to implement accessibility.
That's
That takes
why,
a lot of effort and a long time to do, and it's not very simple to do.
And that's what I'm saying. No one goes into these things thinking about us. And I give an example of that stuff. So now, if you're trying to retro it, well, you're going to try to maybe try to use an app to do that. But physically, the stuff is not usable to me because, number one, it does not have a speaker somewhere that it's going to verbalize, the buttons for me. So you see where the problem is. We as blind people, or those of us with disabilities, I think we will always have the short end of the stick because the rest of the world is not like us. And it's a problem. But like I was saying, we've come a long way. There are certain things that also we have to be thankful for, that we've seen some improvements and all of that.
And
but
I do think
it's going to be an
government can
ongoing
legislate
battle.
this a little bit more. I think, if you have standards that say, yes, every device has to have certain ways of doing tasks. And I think that's in some way like the European Accessibility Act and some of these other things. They're trying to do that. It's very slow. It's going to take a long time to implement. But like, I think there's some ways that you can legislate that, enforce companies. But also, like, when you force people get very resentful about it. Like, why should I have to do it? Let me find all the ways I can get out of doing it. It's too expensive. It's this, it's that. So you really want to try to buy people's, you want them to do it because they want to, but I think Warren's right. Like, people don't go to sleep thinking, oh, well, I need to do all these things for blind people. They're not really thinking about us. They're not thinking about discriminating either. They're not thinking about, I'm going to do the wrong thing.
No,
they're thinking about,
I don't think
they're not thinking about it at all.
They're trying to sell a product, to
Exactly.
the world out there. But, talking about European, so when I was in Paris and we went into a pharmacy, and I was blown away. I don't know how to read French, but I was surprised. They have Braille on those bottles everywhere. I'm like, this is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, we have it too. Yeah.
It blew me away. Wow.
So that's the thing. Like, you can legislate that. If you can have a country, you can have a government, you can have whatever that says that you have to have these things. Then it becomes a lot more cheaper to do, and companies can mass produce it easier, and it's something that it becomes normalized. If you mandate, every device with a screen has to have some kind of screen reader, has to have a speaker, like, these things become normalized. And I think in the beginning maybe it's challenging. You got to figure out exactly how to implement it, but at some point it becomes like, now you cannot buy an ATM machine that does not have screen reader built in. Every ATM machine has a screen reader built in, and I think this thing that was legislated.
We still have some which don't. So yeah.
I'm speaking generally in the States. And also, like, elevators in the States in general, for the most part, like elevators to have Braille. Now I go to Taiwan. And in the building there, they have one elevator that talks, the other ones don't. And when I asked why, they told me it's because they don't like them making a lot of noise. And so you have to hope that you get on the one that talks. And in the hotel I was in, one elevator out of all of them had Braille, and you had no idea which one was going to show up. So if you got on the ones that didn't have Braille, then you're sitting there guessing which buttons you're going to push.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that could be a nightmare.
I think, like, in some ways the US here is ahead, in other ways it's fairly far behind. And I think that's the case of a lot of countries. But I think it really comes down to, are there rules around it? Are there some guidance? Like, is there guidelines or companies have to follow? And is there, like, enforcement if they don't follow it, something bad happens? That, unfortunately, that's kind of sometimes what it takes to make things to happen like that. So.
Exactly. So we were at that store, going back to that Lowe's, Home Depot. And so we were doing a self-checkout, my wife and I. And, this thing was talking, but then I'm like, okay, how do I know which button is what? You know what I mean? It's just, so it's part of the problem. So sometimes the solution is kind of like halfway there. They're just doing the basics, but then, it leaves a lot of questions to be answered. And it's just, like I said, it's going to be an ongoing thing until we get to a point where the development, takes that into consideration right from the get-go, or else you can retro some of these things perfectly. And it's going to be a problem for the foreseeable future unless something monumentally takes place that addresses
And I
this
think
type
like
of
tech
problem.
is this way as well. And tech companies are trying to solve some of these things with band-aid solutions, but in a lot of ways, tech is also part of this as well. Like I see now there's Meta glasses, but the next versions of glasses, I believe, are going to have a display. Actually, some already do. And that is worrying to me, because once you add a display, you're going to be able to submit a lot more information that way. And therefore, is the rest of it, is it going to remain to a point where everything is verbalized? Is it going to remain as accessible, or are we going to lose access to the glasses? And these things are things I think about. Like the Meta glasses are only as accessible as they are because they literally don't have another interface. They're meant
Yeah.
for audio glasses.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about that, so I went to a little study about the MetaQuest, glasses, or, display, or, AR, whatever. It's a gaming thing. And
Those are
frankly,
not accessible.
yeah, they had to be used with with an iPad or something. And so I was sitting in this study for like 2 hours and, doing this and that. And I'm like, well, so for me as a blind person, yeah, this thing works in conjunction with this, but how do I do it without an accompanying device like the iPad that I was using in trying to navigate the thing? And the lady said, yeah, it makes sense, and that's why we want people to blind people to play with these things and let us know about the study. But yeah, so I think that if they continue to improve on these things, and like they
I think
do,
like one of the issues companies face, they don't have enough people with disabilities that get involved in very early stages and working
No.
throughout in design, in development, in testing, in whatever else. And the other problem that they've got is that there's not really, there's not really a school that you go to learn how to do these kind of things. So when you go to hire somebody, how do you know that the person you're hiring actually has the skills for the things that you're hiring them to do? How do you know that they're actually going to give good feedback? How do you know that they're actually going to do the right thing? And you know what? Even amongst ourselves here, we cannot agree on what the right thing is to do half the time.
No, we can't, because what matters to you matters little to me, and what matters to me may matter little to you. So I can see where that is, but I think I've always said that if you have someone, at least for starters, it's good to have someone from that disability group in there as part of the team, and then we'll be getting
Absolutely.
somewhere.
But then it comes down to which disability groups do you represent? Can you find people from all the disability
Well,
groups?
we should have people from all the disability groups,
Right. And then
know,
as the company, depending on the size of the company, do they want to hire, like, I don't know, 500 different kinds of people to work in design, to design one product? It's a tough thing.
It's a tough question, but like I said, though, I think that we've improved a lot in several ways, and then like you said, in several ways, some things have kind of stagnated. So it's just an uphill battle that I don't think is ending anytime soon.
I can't let the episode end when we are talking about apps without mentioning the Pikibot application. I talked a lot about this app, but it's really it was something good. It started as the first app that could describe videos using AI, of course. And I know now we are going to the era of the live stuff and the ability to describe things in real time and stuff. But I think that video description in its like basic form is still something useful. And the one that started the video description thing on Android and iOS was the Pikibot application. So the app, for those who don't know it, it's an application that uses AI models. You can specify the model that you want to use, whether it's one of the Gemini models or GPT or Claude or others. And it describes the videos after you upload a video or share it from YouTube or Instagram. So it gives you a description, and then you can ask follow-up questions about the video or specific scenes. The app is free, but to be able to customize it and to use the model that you want, you have to use the Pro version, which is, by the way, $20 for the lifetime. I think it's really fair pricing, and it's just for anyone who is able to support the developer by purchasing the app. It's really priced reasonably, and it's not at all expensive. Well, I think this app deserves really a big kudos. It deserves appreciation. I hope that the developer will be able to continue working on the app and maintaining it, and that he will be able to get the support he deserves. And yeah, I think it has a potential because, well, AI is capable of doing video descriptions. Yeah, you know, the hallucination and stuff of AI, but it's a general thing. But overall, the ability to give meaningful descriptions is present. And well, I reviewed the app before, and I'm still using it, and I'm still impressed by what it is able to give. So I ask you all to test this application if you haven't done already. So it's a great one.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
talking-
speaking of that app, I was really positively surprised that it's relatively cheap, the lifetime subscription, because like I mean, those models aren't cheap, like the API access isn't cheap. So how is that guy like paying off like that stuff with that little of money? Because I mean, it's not really much we are paying for the lifetime subscription.
Yeah, you know, so we had this guy on here, Martine, right? I think that's his name. Yeah, he's really doing a good job. And you know what? The thing that impresses me about it, you know, he's one of the early pioneers, you know, back in the day when we had Google goggles, and then we had the talking goggles, and that was coming from him. I didn't know it was the same person, and so I was so flabbergasted when he made it known that he was that same person. You know, and we're talking back in 2013 here, and it used to be that I really liked the talking goggles because it was doing a real-time thing, so I was able to read things on the TV, because, you know, sometimes you have an advertisement and they, you know, they say, call this number, and they're not reading that. And so this app was able to, you know, do that. And I was so excited about it, you know, back then.
That's it. Like,
so-
sadly, some of these new apps that were like going back and we're reinventing a lot of the stuff that existed and then we lost, and now we're trying
Exactly.
to figure out how to get back to it. And I don't know. In some ways, it's frustrating. I know, like I keep going on about the Nearby Explorer, and you know.
I know
I don't
you
know.
are a big believer in that Nearby Explorer. And this
Yeah,
Nearby Explorer is great. I
there's
don't
just
know
no
why it
other
got
alternative
discontinued.
to it. There's nothing else like it. So it's, you know, it was a big loss.
Yeah, so I can see how that is. But so see, this AI thing, you know, started a long time ago, but we didn't know it was AI. You asked me. So really, we have the pioneers, you know, people like that, and, you know, Google goggles and all of that. So I'm excited.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
a lot of companies have been using AI and working on AI stuff for many, 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 many years. And I think, you know, it took, I think like ChatGPT was great at marketing, right? It came out, or OpenAI. OpenAI was very good at marketing. And they
Yeah.
were like, oh, look, we're gonna create a chat bot, and it was all
Yeah,
about
but
like
it's no
AI,
longer
AI,
open.
AI. But a lot of these companies were already doing very similar things. They were using it for like call centers. They were using it for companies. We're using it for so many different tasks. AI for a lot of different things. But it turned into a race when some company, OpenAI, figured out how to market it properly and how to get users a little bit more excited about it. And now
Bring
it's
it to the
like
masses.
this big
Yeah.
race and to turn. But a lot of this stuff, like the AIs, a lot of the stuff's been around for a while now. It's
It has been.
not really
You know
new.
what's really bothering me though is the fact that, a company like Apple, for instance, would come and tell you, "Oh my God, we're gonna give you writing like AI writing tools, and they're like very new, and you're gonna have so much fun." Where
And Apple is
it's
very good at marketing anything. Apple, you know what? Apple,
yeah.
I've always said this. Apple, if they came out with a new pair of socks, they could sell it, like with because it was the best pair of socks that you've ever worn, and it has such like the special padding, and it's a special material, the special nylon, and it can be basically the same as a
Yeah.
$2 pair of
They're not
socks,
gonna be as
but they could
smart
sell it
socks.
for $200, and people would love it and buy it, and it would be the best thing in the world. I think Apple is just really good at marketing.
They are very good.
It's just
You're
very-
talking about, $10. I mean, even a sock that you can buy at the Dollar Tree, would be this. But like I've always said, Apple could grab some dirt and say, "Oh, this dirt is very good for you." People are going to buy it. Apple says it. It's different.
I
Apple would
mean-
be really good as a medical company. I
a
think
lot
they
of
would sell
companies
very.
have their brand, but Apple is very good at marketing.
I mean, you don't need to search for long because you have the microfiber gloves, which is expensive. Yeah, really.
Yes,
expensive.
yes. They do sell those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not compatible with other devices and devices from other manufacturers. You need to remember about that.
Unbelievable. Yeah, but yeah, PickyBot is such a great app. I know I got it, the lifetime. The thing is that I haven't used it, but I happen to be, someone that gets these things. But like you were saying, Potato Boy earlier on, you're wondering how the guy is able to sustain it. But so some of us don't use it often, and so it kind of helps that I haven't actually used that thing at all. But I like the fact that it's there, and probably it's the first
Me
one.
too, honestly.
It's the first one in that class to do video, and so I'm so thankful to the guy for doing that. And now you will see others catching up.
But I just saw that selection of models and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I have to have it, and I just purchased it right away.
Yeah, it's very good. I just need to play with it more.
I think CAI jumped on that same train of video description, but it's terrible. It sucks, I have to say. But it was definitely a first. PickyBot, whatever was a first.
But is it picky about videos you upload?
I don't know. I think does it maybe has to be a certain size. Karen, you might be the one to answer this.
No, that's a wordplay, man.
Okay. I got it. I got what you mean now. I got it.
Yeah, but going seriously regarding this point, or regarding the comparison between the two apps, I won't repeat what I said in the podcast before and what I said in my comparison article. If anyone wants to read the article, I will be like, I will like to from you to read the article and to get the comparison, or what's different between the two services. Each service works differently. Like for example, PickyBot takes the video and uploads it to the service, and then the service gives you the description, including the audio. So the audio is included in the description thing. However, with Seeing AI, things are different, because with Seeing AI, you are getting, or the video is uploaded as frames, as scenes after each other, without the audio, and it's synced with the audio after you get the description. So for example, you will hear a part of the video, like the first scene, then it will pause, then it will tell you the description, then it will play again, and then it will describe the other scene like this. So this is an important difference between the two. And
It's similar to Jisho, what Jisho does when describing videos, but it's less dictated.
no, Jisho does this completely differently, because Jisho is taking the scenes, it's taking the stills, but it's not giving you a relation between the scenes. So it's like describing
No, it
this
doesn't.
image.
But I mean, it takes screenshots as well. That's the.
Yeah, but it doesn't do any sensing between the actual video
No, it never
and
does
the
syncing,
image that it's giving you.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah, at all. It's like it's continuous recognition, but it's not that good, because if you don't give a relation, if you don't make a relation between the scenes, you are not really describing the video, because the relation between the scenes and how they are progressing and stuff, this is very important in the description. So if you miss this point, you will not be able to give a good description. So this is the problem with Jisho. So yeah, but well, as I said, this is one difference between the two. I don't want to take more to discuss this, but let's put the
But I think another difference
link in the show notes.
Yeah, I think another difference as well would be the fact that in PikiPod you can actually share a video from Instagram or somewhere else, but with Seeing AI, it has to be a video like in itself. Like it can't be like a link. It can't be a YouTube link.
Exactly. So. That's right. And the follow-up questions as well. You can ask follow-up questions with PikiBot. You can't do it with Seeing AI. And because you started discussing these things, so let's talk about the other difference, which is the internet connection. It should be very good when you're dealing with Seeing AI, because it will just give you about 30 seconds. If it doesn't upload the video during this 30 seconds, it won't continue. It will give you the try again message. Or with PikiBot, it's more flexible. It just waits and waits until the video is uploaded. So this is better for people who are having unreliable connections. They know about it. The Seeing AI team know about this problem, and they were trying to fix it. However, I'm unsure if they will be able to do it or not, or what they are going to do. But this is a real problem for people who are having problems with the upload speed.
Yeah, Microsoft take ages to resolve a problem. Going back to what Nimr and you were discussing a while
I
earlier.
have to agree, actually.
Okay, so before we bring this to a close, how about phones? Let's talk a little bit about phones. Take a couple minutes, talk about some of the fantastic phones of 2024.
LG.
I know we got a lot. 2024, my boy. I don't think LG features in 2024. I mean, yeah, well, people always say the best phone that you have is the one in your pocket, right? So, if you have an LG in 2024, probably it's going to be the best phone that you have, or best phone of 2024. But I think that in 2024, we got some great phones. We're looking at Samsung. I'm looking at you, the Ultras and all of that, S24 Ultra. And then, of course, I'm looking at the Johnny just, Cam, the Pixel phones that just dropped back in the fall of this year. And then, of course, we got the OnePlus. I don't have much experience with OnePlus besides the 10T that I got. Was that last year? It just wouldn't work with my network, and so I had to send baby back home. But I think these are some of the phones, at least in the US, we're so limited. We don't have a lot of phones. So it's either you're on a Fruitvale, Miriam, I'm looking at you, or you have a Samsung or Pixel, and then of course OnePlus is here, but very limited. It's not. I think it's only T-Mobile that still carries OnePlus. Am I correct? Is there another U.S. carrier that has OnePlus? Nimr, do you know?
No, I'm not even sure if T-Mobile is still carrying them or not. They may be, but
Yeah,
no,
I
no
think
other
maybe
carriers
they
for sure.
stopped. I don't.
Yeah, I think they've stopped.
Yeah, they've stopped. So we don't necessarily have OnePlus. You have to go on their website to get it, and then of course you're going to be wondering if it's going to work with your carrier or not, and
Yeah,
that's
same
why
with
my 10T didn't
Asus
work.
phones and Sony phones. Like
Yeah,
technically
John,
sold
Oh,
to
you
you,
Asus
had
but
a,
phones
you had
don't
an
work?
Asus phone, didn't you, John? Yeah.
yeah, like they're technically
thought
sold
they
to you and they
did.
will work on some carriers, but the carriers won't sell them to you.
Yeah. So I was using Fi when I got Google Wireless Fi when I got that OnePlus 10T, and it wouldn't even dial a number. It just didn't work at all. I was wanting to keep that phone. I liked the way it felt in the hand and all of that. I think they have nice devices, but then it wouldn't work with my network at all. And then I got the Nord like a couple of weeks ago. I have some people on the East Coast that wanted me to help them get some OnePlus Nords, and I think they were the Nord N30 or something. I got like 4 of those things. I played with them. I like how they felt in the hand, but I'm not sure that it would work. Whatever network they have going on, I don't know if it's going to work for them or not. But yeah, so these are some of the phones. I think for us in the States, though. It's either that Fruitvale device or it's the Pixel and the Samsung. Those are the ones that are ruling here right now. I mean, we have some carrier branded phones that from some of these other ones, but these are
It's
like
always
the
really
main ones
fun for me to travel to see like the different types of phones. I know the U.S. is just there's just not very much choice. It's unfortunately quite locked down. And the other trouble is, even if you do bring some of the phones you can actually buy, like GetStop and other sources, you can buy them, but they're a bit more locked down, and so they don't work on all the carrier bands here, and so therefore you're not getting as good of a signal. And some carriers actually won't whitelist the phone. So I don't know. It's kind of unfortunate.
It is a problem. And another one that we do have here is Motorola, right? Moto seems to be kind of now jumping on the trend, saying we're going to give several years of updates. I think they came out saying 5, but with Moto, it's to be seen. We'll see what happens if they actually. But I like Moto phones. They're nice, clean UI. Just like Pixel phones, of course, with some of their own. Everyone has a little bit of their stuff in there. But I got some Moto
I just want
phones.
to see a flagship. I'll tell you, I love that Edge. I think the first Edge was a beautiful phone.
Yeah.
I want to see some actual premium hardware from them. Like, I don't know.
I like the UI, the quick step UI that Moto uses, or launcher that Moto uses. Sony uses that. I think the defunct Nokia also uses that quick step launcher, and they're very nice and close to stock Android. And if there's anything that I like about it, it has to be that.
Oh, I have a fun fact. Some of the more premium Motorola's have like a smell. So like they use some kind of a perfume and it smells nice in box.
Okay, I wish some lady wasn't holding it before they put it back in there. Just saying. Maybe if you're looking for a squeeze, that's the closest you can get to a squeeze. Potato Boy, smell that nice lady somewhere from your phone. Nice idea, right?
So should we go round table, just say what our favorite device was, or
Yeah, let's do that.
what device we would like
John,
to
why don't you get started?
get? Because I'm the most predictable. Save the suspense for later. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the S24 Ultra. So the one complaint I have about it is that the accessibility volume channel sounds bad. Like the screen reader just sounds bad, and I don't know why. If you use CSR and you change it to put the screen reader through with the media volume, it sounds much better. I kind of like the way I describe it is like, when you go into a phone call and it switches to that like lo-fi version of the screen reader, like it kind of sounds like it's stuck there all the time. I mean, I got used to it, so it doesn't bother me. You know, it's just a screen reader. I don't need it to sound fantastic and have great bass, but it is something people have pointed out. That's really the only gripe I have.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, John, because really, and I don't know why Samsung does that, but you know, once you are used to it, though, it's not, you know, it's not
Yeah,
too
and
much.
it's
of a
only on
problem.
this phone. It's not on the So I used the Fold 6 for a little while, and it didn't have the problem. So I don't know why it's just this phone. I don't
Yeah, I
think
have
the
the
S23.
it's an S
base.
issue. It's an S series issue because I've seen it with the 21, 22, 23, and the 24. And then it actually doesn't happen with CSR on my end. So I do have the 24 Ultra, but it doesn't happen except with TalkBack.
I have the base S24, and I don't see it like when switching between them, between the screen readers. There's like doesn't seem to be any issue with sound. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that when it comes to screen reader sounds, the Pixel has its hands down. I mean, it's that nice boomy thing, and the Pixel phones have had it, you know, for years, going back to the Pixel 3 series. That's when we started having that nice boomy voice, and I've always wished, you know, everyone has it. And first time when it came through, I wasn't sure what to make of it. I thought it was kind of sounding boxy. And I remember my friend Alan from Malaysia, we used to talk about that. Oh, why does it sound kind of like boxy? But then we kind of grow to like it, and it just becomes the norm. And when I pick up a Samsung phone, for example, and I don't hear that, and it's just quite a stack difference between the two when you hear them. So, but you know, it's the thing though that I like about the Samsung phones. It sounds clear. You know, sometimes the Pixel ones depends on which one you have, especially the Pixel 6 series. I'm looking at you. You turn up the volume, you can get a little bit of a distortion in there. Well, so John, just like you know, for me, it's predictable. Of course, I'm a Pixel guy, you know, all the way. So for me, it's the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Potato Boy, it's your turn.
Oh, I'm all for the Galaxy, of course. S24. Yeah, I have the S24. I mean, I don't like some stuff they are doing. For example, here only the Ultra model has the Snapdragon. I mean, I don't mind really, but some people do. And also the 128 gig model, yeah, the base model has like older memory chip, so it's slower. So
Okay,
that
I thought
being-
all the S24 series was Snapdragon. No, was it, or was that
they are in
S23?
the
I don't
US,
remember.
China.
That was S23.
Okay,
Yeah,
because I thought one
S23.
of them, okay, has all of them. Okay, I see. Sally, I know you're a Samsung boy, and no prediction here.
Obviously, yeah. Well, my favorite phone this year is still the one from the last year. I'm with my S23. I love this compact phone, and I love the shape of it. For as Miloy said, for the chip side, I didn't want to go for S24, but definitely I'm like anticipating, like so excited for S25. Really want to get if it comes with SmartDragon Elite, as we talked a couple of episodes ago. It's so exciting, and I'm so really hoping to get it. And I hope they will have the same processor for all the models. Maybe I may consider getting the Plus, but if the battery of 25 is large enough, I will go for it. What I don't like about S23 so far is that the battery, of course, yeah, small phone and small battery. So let's see what happens for S25.
And some 3 weeks from now, we'll be talking
Yeah,
about this
it's
new
exciting, you know.
Miriam, girl, I know you betrayed me. And you're jumping back to your Fruitvale land, but I know you do have an Android phone too. So, which one is your phone of the year?
So I think it'll be so if I didn't pick the 16 Pro, for instance, I would go for the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. I think it's pretty nice. Although I'm looking at the S25, I really want to see what Samsung will do with the smart chip and AI. I'm really curious to see their take.
So Miriam, you're just like me, how you're waiting for your 25. Yeah.
I am absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
that's
I can't wait.
exciting.
In other words, you're also waiting to turn 25, right? Maybe in 4 or 5 years from now,
Oh,
something.
that's gonna be in
6
4
years.
years. Yeah.
And okay, 4 years. I'm just looking out for you, my dear. Salvis, what do you have in that pocket of yours in the way of a phone?
Well, I'm right now on Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, but yeah, from tech specs, I think the best phone, as always, is Samsung Galaxy's Ultras. But from software side, especially because of TalkBack, I think Google Pixel wins this competition. And yeah, if I think if Samsung won't put the image descriptions in One UI 7 next year, I probably will change one of my phones to Pixel 10. Who knows?
Salvis, I got a question for you. I was so curious to know that since you're in Latvia, what TTS do you use? Is it Google or eSpeak?
I used Google TTS.
So when Latvian was introduced, is it last year or early this year?
Well, Latvian and Google was, I don't know, for a few years already.
Oh, it's amazing from Google. Wow.
Oh, that's really nice, though, because it's nice to see them supporting different languages or across the different regions. I think that's a very good thing because usually that's one of the hurdles because one has to use eSpeak or something, and of course, you know that eSpeak, I'll call it the hide my ass, TTS engine. Don't want someone to hear what you're doing.
Oh, so imagine like a long time ago, I think other languages than English, I mean, most of the languages had eSpeak for Google TTS, for example.
And what do you use for Polish, bro?
Yeah, it had eSpeak as a Google TTS Polish voice. And I mean,
right now, what do you use for Polish?
Oh, now I use the. Normally, I would use the Samsung TTS, but they broke it in One UI 7 beta.
That's what we're talking about. Something comes around and something gets broken.
So are you on Vocalizer now?
No, I'm still because I use the Auto TTS solution. So like my default engine is still Samsung TTS, but it's speaking with Google TTS voice. So yeah, I have to struggle with that for now because I don't want to adjust my settings again.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And yeah, so I think some of the least popular languages are still using eSpeak in Google Translate. Yeah, I think it's the case.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So they use eSpeak too.
I know our
But
Indian
in Google,
sorry,
yeah, but in
ahead.
Google TTS is I think 80 languages right now available.
That's really good.
Google TTS is quite popular.
But they were very late to the party when it comes to adding Arabic. I mean, eSpeak had Arabic way before Google TTS did. So I have to be very partial.
Yeah, but at least you now have it though. So we're talking 2024.
But Miriam, if you're asking to Korean, she hates the Arabic on eSpeak.
I hate it too. I'm not saying I use it, but actually,
I
do hate Google.
I would love to hear what it sounds like in Arabic.
It sucks. Trust me, it sucks.
It's terrible. Oh my God,
it's terrible.
It is.
Yeah, well, I struggle to understand it, although I'm a native. So just imagine this: I'm a native and I'm unable to understand this one.
I was using eSpeak for Turkish for some time, but now I'm on Google because they did a great job.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Now you guys, I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna check out, the eSpeak in Arabic, and I want to hear what it sounds like. I'm curious. Really?
You know, it's not gonna sound different than English does if you don't speak the language, but at the same time, for us as natives, it's like it sucks because it
Yeah,
feels like it
I speak
hasn't.
Arabic and I can barely understand you
Yeah,
speak. I have no idea.
it's like having like an aneurysm or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, Karen, what's the phone that you rock? Of course, I can predict. You're a Samsung girl, aren't you?
No. Well, actually, I like Samsung hardware. To be honest, they create great phones, but because of the talkback troubles and the separation and the stubbornness, I'm not going to select a Samsung phone. I'm going to select the OnePlus 13. So I'm giving my vote
Nice.
to the OnePlus 13, which is a good phone. And well, OnePlus has proven itself
But
as
here is a boring fact, Karine. OnePlus 13 is not officially released.
no problem. It's in China, so it's
It
in
is
China,
out
so
somewhere.
No problem.
But it's,
yeah.
it's the phone of 2024.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
So it's the
I
phone
use
from
It's
G-Show,
released.
so I can.
Yeah.
I use G-Show, so I can select something which is in China, so no problem about that.
Oh, welcome to
So-
China.
Yeah,
Sheng Sheng Pao.
Or how they say, I hate Mondays. It's 我特意经济.
What's it?
You're obsessed with Chinese, aren't you?
Oh my gosh. Nimmer, what do you have running?
Well, other than like prototype phones, the moment personal phone is a Pixel 9 Pro XL, but I think I'm really starting to like the Flip, the Z Flip, because I don't know.
yeah.
I think I still go back to the old days of you get done with a telemarketer or something, and you just slam
Slam it
that thing
down.
shut
Oh, you're
and be
pissed
done
off.
with it. I don't know. And it's more compact, it's nice and fits in the pocket. And I don't know. There's something about the old flip phones. I like them. So
Yeah, I don't know. I
this
like
one is
that.
wide. I don't know if I would prefer it even if it was a little narrower, but it's fine. Yeah.
I like the flips, maybe you're arguing with, some squeeze and, you're kind of pissed off and all right, bye. And you just slam that thing. I'm done. But that's why I like the flip phones. But I don't know. Ever since the candy bar got introduced, it seems like I don't necessarily care about the flips anymore. I don't know. I don't see me using
if
the
the flip
flip
would get a
phone.
bigger battery, I'd probably use it full time. But it needs a bigger battery. I don't know. It seems like they don't get as good of a spec.
Yeah. I know that our Indian friend is definitely in La La Land right now, Ramana. So I'm not even going to ask him because I know he's gone, right? Did anyone notice him leaving? It's very late out there. So I think that will be it, isn't it?
Yeah, he left a while ago. He left like 30 minutes ago or something.
Yeah. So is there someone else that I haven't asked about the phone that they're using? I think that's it. Well, we do want to thank you guys. This has been really nice. We want to see where we could do this like once every month, get together and talk about things. I think that would be a great thing to do. And so I really enjoyed this because then we get to talk about things like we did today, which is very useful in my, take, because we have different ideas and, some of things that bother us and things that don't bother us and all of that. I like the different voices and where we're coming from. I think it helps us, gives each and every one of us an idea of what to do, most especially how to go about contacting either companies or, developers complaining about what is working and what's not working. And Samsung, if you're hearing us, by heaven, just let us get talkback from Google Play Store instead of this one coming from you guys. And if you guys are going to insist on coming from you guys, then just be, in step with what Google has. Isn't that what we want, John, Miriam, and you guys?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's arguing with that.
Yes, please.
No.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I think maybe we have to. It would be nice to see our group in general. People
So
writing to Samsung.
I
Hey,
think just to say
complaining.
that it's you put it all right. You left it over to Ciprian and he created a
Yeah,
topic
I
on
wanted to talk about it.
and
Yeah,
it's like it's rising, it's going viral. So please, everyone, raise your voice in there. We should really include that link into show notes for Samsung to hear us for the talkback separation annoyance. Please, guys, write.
Okay, so
your notes.
here's Sally. Here's what you need to do. You need
Yeah.
to post that on our email group,
Really, really,
and then we're going to encourage people. To
yeah,
join.
Yeah, but we have it also on Telegram.
yeah.
I posted about it on Telegram, but not on the mailing list. It's not my
Yeah,
business,
well,
the mailing
the
list. so-
mailing list is a bigger group than what we have.
Absolutely.
And even if one is not using a Samsung device,
We-
as far as I'm concerned, we need to do this because it's all about accessibility. And when it comes to accessibility, it doesn't matter what it is. We need to all be part of it.
Yeah, on last week I shared on our Accessible Android Mastodon account, so we're really going to share it in the email. So guys, please raise your voice, write something.
Yeah, I do follow
mean,
you on there, Sally. Don't worry.
thank you, Mariam. So the
You're
more,
plugging me.
yeah, thank you. The more responses we have on the thread, the better. Because a couple of times, the moderators replied to us saying they really wanted to help and they forwarded our frustrations to the appropriate departments. So the more people writing their reply on it, it's going to get quicker results, I think.
I want to see one of them come to this podcast so that
You're
I'll let
asking
you
too
boys and
much.
girls
Oh, no.
roast them up. Yeah,
Oh
seriously.
no, they're gonna be roasted.
Hey, Warren, didn't we have someone from Samsung a while back, but she
Well,
kind
I
of
didn't
like,
know if she chickened out. She
yeah,
came
she
in one
did.
time,
I
was
remember.
listening, but she chickened out. I don't want to mention names here,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you guys know
yeah,
what
I
I'm,
wasn't
who I'm
going to.
talking about.
I know.
I mean, I would do the same as a Samsung representative.
You know,
Yeah.
just for giggles, I'm not from Samsung, but if you remove the letter G, I'm from Samsung, so be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
So
where I live.
Yeah,
let's just
I've
have this,
always managed
people come on.
your city's name interesting.
Yeah, it's the Samsung.
Yeah, I also encourage everyone who is signed up into One UI beta program to send feedback regarding that.
And yeah,
like,
Milos,
talkback
thank
issues.
you so much for doing this. I mean, it clearly explains the issue. I appreciate what you did there.
And Samsung, if you're hearing us, by heaven, when you're rolling out betas, roll it out to other Samsung devices, just like Google does. And this is one of the reasons why I may never have Samsung as my daily driver, because if you're only releasing it to the latest phone, that is not good. Open it up to other phones. In my never to be humble opinion, open it back, even back to S21. That's how it should be. So
I lost
this
hope
is
in that.
why
I don't think
I'm with
Samsung will
Google.
ever change their
Well,
strategy.
But that's
I don't-
stupid. That's absolutely stupid.
It is.
But they shouldn't be doing that, because then you have more participants and all of that. But when you limit it to whatever, you just kind of shooting yourselves in the foot.
I don't know, maybe that's just some kind of damage control, or so there are a lot of broken devices, and now because One UI betas used to cause like devices to be breaked, and replacements of motherboards and
Yeah,
stuff.
but then that's how you're going to know which ones are breaking and all of that. And that's why if they're going to do that, they should be testing it internally, with those other earlier phones as well before they even roll it out to the people. But if you're not doing that, this is a bad thing on Samsung. We can defend this.
Okay, but let me give credit where it's due. I think that Google, Samsung, Android in general, they do a far better job testing internally than Apple does. And I have to make this comparison because, when iOS comes out, you have the developer beta literally after the conference, while you're testing Android 16 from now, and it's going to be released towards the end of next year. So, it's way better. I have to
But
say.
when it comes to TalkBack, it's not better because it's a closed beta. You can't just
this
anybody can't
serious
sign up.
question, I hope
Yeah.
Google gives up on it. I mean, seriously, I mean, I'm not moving to the United States anytime soon, so please move here instead.
All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us.
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers+subscribe@groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
So, well, it's been a while, guys, and I know we've been talking. Let's do this again. In January, I think we're going to set maybe last Saturday of the month or whatever. Let's get together again and have another party. I really enjoy this because it's just absolutely beautiful. I love it. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on and having this nice discussion and all that good stuff. I do want to say bye-bye from me and Happy New Year. I hope that we see 2025, God willing. And then, of course, we're looking forward to Samsung's new phone next month.
War and all, it was good to be on. Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
Goodbye, everyone. Happy New Year 2025.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.